Hello, everybody. Russ on the West Ham Network. Hope you're all safe and well. Happy lunchtime. Getting through the first day of the week, innit? Getting through. Luckily, it's not as sticky. It's not as hot. A little bit more clammy, a little bit more moist, but yeah, it's a lot more bearable in Hornchurch in the Budden household. So that's good. Now I want to talk about Tommy Soucek. This morning I spoke about Vladimir Coufal and how he could potentially be out for the Man City game for a knock he took on international duty. But I want to talk about Tommy Soucek. And the reason I want to talk about Tommy Soucek is I think we've had West Ham itself as quite a transformation in the last, let's say, in the last 6 months in terms of the role that Tim Steiden's played in terms of how everything works now in terms of the club. And arguably before then, when we had sort of not a seismic change, but a big change was when Danny Kretinsky became the second biggest shareholder at the club. Now, Thomas Soucek is an interesting person because I think Thomas Soucek actually. So the story in terms of where we are at is that the club haven't officially announced it yet, but he is going to be signing, or he has signed a new 4-year deal at West Ham, we're led to be believed. And that apparently will be announced imminently, apparently. So there we go. But it's the manner of the whole sort of contract negotiations which opens up asks more questions and answers them for me. Now, in terms of the lifetime of this Thomas Soucek saga, so he's been talking. His agent's been talking to West Ham for a while now about a improved contract on his current deal. I think it's around 60K he's on a week, with his agents looking for six figures, 100K a week. West Ham said no, you're not worth 100K a week, and so it was believed that he was being touted around lots of other clubs to see if they would pay 100 grand a week for him. And there wasn't much interest in Tommy Soucek. And even at that sort of level, because really he was in, his current deal was set to expire at the end of the year. So, he could have really picked whoever he wanted to. He could have got an out of contract, a pre-contract agreement with a foreign-based club, but no one put in for him. And I think maybe the whole thing with the Saudi Arabia money, I think his agent was just sniffing around to see if there's anything that could be used as leverage. And they didn't. And so, the story, the original story was he came sort of back cap in hand and sort of said, okay, we'll sign a new deal on the terms that sort of agreed. And obviously he'll get a bit of a bump, but not a 60% pay rise, basically. And by all accounts, that's going to be announced in the next few days. But according to reports over the weekend, it wasn't Moyes who instigated this. It was Daniel Kretinsky, which does open up the question of, is Kretinsky sort of secretly pulling a lot of strings in the club? We all assumed he was his silent partner, and but, apparently, according to reports, Kretinsky initiated a new contract being handed to Tommy Soucek rather than David Moyes. As I said, his new contract was due to expire at the end of the summer next year, and he did have a year option on top of that, so we could have exercised that. But apparently, West Ham's second highest owner, stepped in, and apparently it seems as though it was due to him, and he's forced this new deal through to be handed to his countryman Soucek. If it's true, it proves that Moyes doesn't have the final say on new contracts being handed out to certain players, which obviously isn't ideal to David Moyes. We don't know the role that Tim Steiden's played in this as well. I'd imagine it wouldn't be such an instigator, because we know Steiden wants to bring in younger players who he can make profit off of, and who wouldn't be able to make a profit out of Thomas Soucek. Apparently West Ham valued him at about £50 million in terms of Thomas Soucek, according to one report, which sounds absolutely bizarre. But it's not ideal, is it? It's not ideal that the owner sort of steps, or one of the owners steps in. Obviously, we signed Soucek for 15 million quid from Slavia Prague back in the summer 2020, and after a very successful loan bid. Do you remember we had him a loan to sell, loan to buy, and he was absolutely phenomenal. I think he was an instant hit, and for 18 months following, he played a vital role. And then I think he's regressed over the last 2 years, mainly because Moyes employed. He switched his role around to help Declan Rice become more of a box-to-box player. And I know I've said his name, so I put a pan in the swear jar. That experiment didn't work, and I think you're seeing a better Soucek with he who should not be named the former captain not longer there. But if he doesn't improve, and if he doesn't continue this trajectory, then we've got him for another 4 years, and actually it could be in terms of money, he's going to be on a fair wage, and he's got another 4 years. He's 28, so he wouldn't, obviously 32. He would 32, 33 would be when he finishes his contract at West Ham if this 4-year deal gets announced. So that's not good, is it? That's not good, is it? Because you're thinking that's a real gamble there. The fact is we could have kept him going on this year contract, had to exercise our 12-month option. He then would have finished at 30. Then he could have gone into the sunset. So it's a bit bizarre why we've actually given him this 4-year deal, in all honesty, because in essence, he's still on a 2-year deal, really. But maybe it means that Danny Kretinsky maybe is pulling more strings than we think he is behind the scenes. I know that he was heavily, in terms of the celebrations of winning the Europa Conference League, he was there in the middle of it all when necessarily the other owners weren't. He was there, sort of getting involved with all the players and celebrating. We know we were led to be believed he had discussions with the LLDC. We don't know if it's true or not, but conflicting reports about whether he was talking to the LLDC about ownership of the stadium. I don't think he'll ever. I don't think he'll ever want full control of the stadium. I think he likes to be involved, but maybe he's involved a little bit more than we think he is. And particularly this whole Thomas Soucek thing, it's just a little bit bizarre to me, isn't it? When you think about it, he's 28, and to offer him a 4-year deal, if he was at the top of his game and it was to stop any vultures hanging around, because you've got him for 4 years, that ties down his value for another 4 years. Fair enough. But it's only in the last sort of few weeks that he's actually improved. And I just think it's a real, when we're looking at how much, how well we've done our business in terms of the transfer window, particularly, it doesn't seem a good deal to me. Where we had the option for, in essence, 2 years, and then he could have gone. Maybe the reverse. What's the foreign thing for nepotism? But because it's his countryman, I don't know. I don't know. But it's a strange. It's all a bit strange. And if the reports are true and it was instigated by Danny Kretinsky rather than say Moyes, then that's of interest, because that would suggest that Kretinsky can get involved when he wants to get involved. And whether that pans out, I don't know. But I just thought, I saw it and I thought, what, that's quite interesting just to start the debate and have a bit of a discussion, particularly in this international break where there's not really much to talk about, let's be honest. But Hammer's headlines, I'm going to be talking about the sort of the roundup of the international, of the weekend's internationals, and all that good stuff. Anyway, take care, stay safe, stay humble, keep warm, keep well. And if you like what we do, please subscribe, hit the bell notification, give me some comments below about Tommy Soucek. Wise idea offering him a 4-year deal? I would suggest not. But anyway, take care, stay safe, much love, bye-bye.